My world changed in 2007 when, at age 45, I learned I had advanced ovarian cancer. When my doctor told me that the chemotherapy would cause all my hair to fall out, I received the news calmly. But weeks later, when my hair started coming out in the shower, I had a panic attack. My boyfriend Ross got home to find me sitting on the toilet seat wrapped in a towel. "You have to shave my head." He sobbed as he gently, carefully shaved my head. I stayed in remission for 15 months. Last February, my cancer returned. I would have to take chemo and lose my hair again. Ross and I had been together more than 6 years by then. Weeks after I started treatment, his drawn-out divorce finally came through. He suggested we celebrate at a fancy restaurant. At dinner, he pulled out an elegant-looking box. In the light of the small table lamp, I saw a diamond as fiery and colorful as our life together. We wanted to marry right away. Neither of us cared about having an elaborate wedding. Standing under a chuppah, the Jewish wedding canopy, surrounded by our immediate family and a few close friends, then lunch at a good restaurant would be just fine. But I would soon be bald again. How could I be a beautiful bride without hair? I suggested we wait until fall, when my treatment would be over and my hair grown out again. But Ross was adamant. After much arguing, I reluctantly agreed. We picked Sunday, April 5th.
Happy anniversary!
That gave us a month. I met with the rabbi and commissioned the marriage contract the bride and groom sign at a traditional Jewish wedding. Ross booked the restaurant, and my father bought my teenager a suit. Between us, we managed all the tasks that even the simplest wedding requires. And I faced the task that to me dwarfed all others, figuring out what to do with my bald head. I had never worn a wig and wasn't about to start. The headscarves I'd worn in summer weren't dressy enough, and the ski caps I'd switched to for cold weather weren't either. I couldn't imagine getting married with nothing covering my head. Clearly, a hat was the answer, but what kind? I visited stores and tried on every style. Hats like the one Audrey Hepburn wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and Jackie O's pillboxes. They all looked odd without at least some hair peeking out. I decided to have a hat made. I went on the internet and called the first name that I found. She assured me that she had many clients who were undergoing chemotherapy and suggested a Dutch cap. I had no idea what that was, so she told me to look at some Vermeers. I arrived at her shop the next day feeling skeptical. The women in the Vermeer paintings were milking cows or doing farm labor. They wore white cotton headpieces with flaps on the side and strings under the chin. If this crazy woman thought I was going to get married in a white handkerchief with flaps, she had another thing coming. I stared at my bald head in her mirror and felt nauseous. I knew that I would be ugly on my wedding day. She brought out a hat with a small band at the bottom that held the hat close to my head, so it was impossible to tell I had no hair. The cap was loose-fitting and draped gently. The material was wrong, but I could see the general idea and thought it might work. 2 weeks later, I returned for the fitting. We had selected a raw silk the color of fresh celery. Covering the hat was a thin layer of tulle embroidered with an intricate pattern of vines and leaves. I looked in the mirror. A beautiful woman looked back. My wedding day was sunny and warm. My best friend and our 3 children held the 4 chuppah poles. My 89-year-old mother's prayer shawl hung above us. Ross wore a jade rose in his lapel to match my simple green sheath. Several weeks later, the photographer sent us the wedding pictures. What I saw amazed me. I was indeed a beautiful bride, looking stylish in her hat. But far more beautiful was the bald woman without the hat, smiling in the protective arms of the man she loved. My cancer returned in October. I'm on chemotherapy again and will probably face chronic cancer for the rest of my life. This time the chemo hasn't made my hair fall out. For that I'm grateful. But I also know I am beautiful, with or without hair, and that I am strong enough to handle whatever happens because of the love in my life.